started with class today, so if you have your laptops and things out, go ahead and put those down for me. Today's a great opportunity to ask some really great questions. We have an alumni panel, so we have a lot of alumni. We have 7 alumni available for you to ask questions, things like that. Real quick announcement. Everything is due next week by 3 o'clock. Everything. 3:01, unfortunately, it's considered late. So please make sure you get everything in time. Unfortunately, I can still see some of you have not started the SOMP modules and things like that, so you're going to have a pretty rough week ahead of you. Please get everything in. Once we're past 3 o'clock, there are no exceptions because you've had plenty of time, plenty of notification. For those of you who were making fun of me the first week of class when I told you I was a Cubs fan, it paid off finally. Woohoo! Go Cubs. So anyway, a couple of you made some calls out at the first class when I said I was a big Cubs fan. So I still haven't recovered sleep-wise, but we're there. So I'm going to invite our alumni up, and they can kind of have a seat, please. If you could put your laptop away, Christopher. Go wherever you want, however you want. Okay. All right. So this one is on.
All right. You just want me to go ahead and introduce? Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Madison Crawford, and I graduated from the College of Business in 2014 with a major in marketing and a minor in communication. I currently work at the University of Louisville in the alumni office doing outreach. So my title is Assistant Director of Outreach. And a little fun fact that I didn't know about the university when I was a student is that we have about 35 alumni chapters within the state of Kentucky and across the United States. So if you're interested in moving, say, to Boston, there's a group of alumni there that help with networking, finding jobs. They meet for game watches. They meet for service events. So it's kind of nice to still have a group of support system from your alma mater away if you move. So that's kind of what I did. When I graduated in 2014, I started out working for a dental service organization doing management. So I did the business side of a dental practice for about 1.5 years. I was the practice administrator, so anything that didn't relate to the mouth was what I did, including human resources, financing, that sort of thing. So that's pretty much my story and how I ended up here, so I'll pass it on.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Hassan Madavi. I think I'm the oldest one, class of '09. I graduated from the College of Business with a degree in management, which isn't offered anymore, and also from the arts and science with a degree in Spanish. Studied abroad 3 times while I was here and got my international business minor as well. Now working for a company called iCore. We subcontract for Microsoft, doing all their reverse logistics, basically getting broken Xboxes back to where they're supposed to be. Yeah, Elizabeth invited me back, and I'm kind of excited to share some stories with you. Hope you have some good questions.
Hi guys, I'm Lauren Hansen. I graduated in 2010 from the business school in accounting, and then I did grad school here and graduated in 2012 with a counseling degree. I work in athletics as an assistant director of academics, so I oversee 2 teams. I oversee work study students and then our tutoring program for all of athletics. I came back here to the University of Louisville in August 2015. I spent 3.5 years at another institution.
Hello, my name is Jessie Dietrich. I just graduated in the spring. I haven't really started a career yet. I won the Fulbright Scholarship, so I'm going to be going to Malaysia on New Year's Day. And until then, I'm working at a leather goods startup company with my friends.
Hi, my name is Alex Shelton. I just graduated back in December 2015. I was a cheerleader here all my years, and I graduated with a CIS degree with concentration in web development. I currently work at Yum Brands as a financial applications developer. So I work with a lot of applications that deal with master data and consolidated financial results. One of the main ones I work with is the one that helps the company report out to Wall Street. And that's what I do.
Hi everyone, I'm Brock Neal. I actually work with Alex at Yum Brands. I graduated in 2010 with a degree in finance and a minor in international business. So if anyone likes Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, or KFC, we appreciate your business and continue to buy from those restaurants. But one thing too, like Alex said, we work with financial systems that help basically facilitate the financial reporting for our accounting teams. So for me, my degree is in finance, but I didn't really have a whole lot of background in CIS or IT. But I get to kind of work on the IT side of things and utilize my finance skill set to do that. So it's kind of fun to have that, where I have a background in finance, but I get to do something that's more IT, a little bit more exciting than finance.
So I'm Daniel Johnson, and I will actually take the crown for being the oldest person up here. I am the 2005 graduate with a undergrad degree in computer information systems. Came back in 2007 and finished in 2009 with my MBA with a focus in entrepreneurship. This is what I wear every day because I'm in the startup world. So I help companies, I've got my own startup, and I help other startups raise capital before they try to scale their business. And my current record is raising $1 million in 48 hours. So I'm not the Yum brand corporate publicly traded. I'm much more early stage than anybody else here.
CIS majors. Since the world's trying to focus in more on technology, was it very difficult for finding a job with your major?
Well, I started, so I got an internship first at Yum. They did a little session here where a bunch of CIS majors could come in because they were hiring, I think, 4 jobs. And so I put my name in there and I started, I got the job at an internship there. I did that for about a year, and then they hired me full-time because they liked me. So I had a pretty, I guess, easy path kind of from graduating to a job, but I definitely think CIS is a good way to go because technology is always growing, so it's a good path if you're trying to look for a job. Yeah.
So if you do the CIS degree program and you're halfway interested in what you do and you have some real world knowledge, none of this class project stuff, for the love of all that is holy, I encourage you all to take side projects and do something for a nonprofit, or you have an interest in yourself about a problem you want to solve. Solve it, because whenever I interview people, I want to see that light, that interest, that passion come through. And if you're one of those people, I can place you in a job in 4 hours or less. But if you're just doing the regular, hey, I go to class and I do these great projects that the teacher assigns, I don't care about that as a hiring person. I want to see that you did something outside of class. So do CIS, you learn one programming language, you can quickly port over to another. And if you're interested in learning about what the Louisville tech community is doing, there's one website you need to go to. It's louisville.io, and this is a website with all the tech events around town that you can go to. And there's also, is anybody on Slack here? Does anybody use Slack? Okay, notice all the corporate people do, but it's a group chat, and there's 843, as of this morning, developers in Louisville that are on there. And you can post a question, hey, I've got a problem with this, or hey, I'm this intern, I would love to have a job, who knows? And they'll say, what's your skill set? And I also do the alumni networking events for the CIS program a couple times a year. Come out to those.
I have a question for the elder on the panel.
Oh, God.
My question was, how did you get involved with startups and things like that? Did you stumble upon it based on your MBA? Did you
No, for me specifically, a class project that for the local government, they charged our class with fixing a problem. It was a CIS problem, and our team did so well that they were like, Daniel, what does it take for you to come and work for us? I was like, I'm not working for a government, but here's what I will do. You let me hire 2 other people as a team, and we'll complete out the project. They bid at it, they paid us, and they paid us much more than the offer I had at Yum, and so that was the start to the first company that I founded. So if you don't, so you have to so I've got a couple pillars that I'll eventually share, but you have to stand up for yourself and what you want. Otherwise, you're going to not get an internship. You have to, I want that, I want to do this. You just go full steam ahead. So stand up for yourself.
Right. And did you, was that based on was that undergrad or graduate school?
Undergrad.
Just for kind of anybody on the panel, did any of you guys, because you were talking about the jobs that you already have obtained, have you guys ever like dealt with the stereotype of normal, like come out of college, you have a degree, and you can't find a job?
I'll take it. Yeah, I kind of dealt with that. I graduated in 2010, which some of my cohorts up here would agree. It was right kind of during the middle of the recession, where at the time their new college graduates didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to get out there. So one of the things I was able to do was I got a job at a company here locally called Appriss that does the victim notification software for anyone that's been a victim of a crime. They can register and be notified of anything. It's a technology company here locally. And they need someone that spoke Spanish that could travel to Puerto Rico and work with the relationships there. So the idea of traveling to Puerto Rico, I was like, sweet, I speak Spanish, I can do that. So having that other skill set got me that job. It had nothing to do with finance, had nothing to do with what I learned even in my undergraduate degree, but it got me out there. So from that standpoint, yeah, I was a little nervous, and there was a lot of people I graduated with that took a while to find jobs, and they had to continue with part-time jobs or continue with internships, some for up to a year plus. So to his point, I think the key is to get out there and say, you know what, I want an internship, I'm going to get that experience, or I'm not just going to do this class project, I'm going to go get some experience with a nonprofit or do anything that can boost your resume so that when you do get out there, you're a lot more marketable. One of the things that someone always told me is you're your own chief marketing officer, you're the one who's going to go out there and market for yourself. And that's the kind of mentality you got to have, especially with a business major, is if you're going to go out there, I'm the one that's going to market myself out there. I'm not going to let anyone else dictate who I am and how people are going to perceive me. So you have control of that, so you got to take it and run with it. And then you can run with it wherever you want.
Yeah, I graduated in 2009, so it was when we were hemorrhaging jobs left and right. A lot of people were stuck in a situation of, do they do they go right back to school? Do they keep doing the job they were doing as part-time and undergraduate and whatnot? But I'll just piggyback to what he said. The most important thing is to just keep self-improving. I personally took the opportunity to go to Spain and teach English for a year. So I was on the southern coast, right outside of Cadiz in Spain, honing my Spanish skills and teaching little kids how to play games and sing songs in English. And then at the same time, I was able to keep doing some kind of self-driven education through like MOOCs or online classes that were just starting to pick up at that time as well. The biggest key is to show that you're doing something with your time. So, if you just kind of sit back and are frustrated, you can't find what you're looking for, you're not doing yourself any favors. So the most important thing I can say is keep working at something, preferably something you really enjoy, and then you can translate that in interviews or, pitching your own company later on.
And if you get to senior year and you realize that your major is not what you want to do for the rest of your life, that's okay. I have an accounting undergrad degree. I use those skills in my job every day, but then I went on, because I was in that cohort where there wasn't a lot of jobs, and I realized that tax was not what I wanted to do, and went on to grad school to do counseling. So I'm still using my undergraduate business degree every day, but just in a different way.
Okay, show of hands for the panel. Who found their job on a job board, their first job? Look at that. Pay attention, no one raised their hands. First jobs, only 25% of any jobs are ever posted online. So, panel, how do you get your first job?
So for me, it was a lot about just staying connected with people that I made connections with in undergrad, and I think that's pretty hugely important to anyone's career success. So get involved in organizations that pertain to what you're interested in, get internships, and then once you're finished with those classes and internships, stay connected with those people. I had internships, and my boss from the internship kind of went to bat for me. I knew I didn't want to work for that company, and she was okay with that. But she said, I have some contacts in these other fields of marketing that you might be interested in. And that's kind of how I started to find where I ended up for my first job. And then I was pretty involved in undergraduate. I was orientation staff. I did Cardinal Ambassador, where I gave tours. I was in a sorority. I did College of Business Student Government. So I think through that, I was able to also network, and that's kind of how I ended up back at the university. When the position became available, somebody recommended me for the position. So I think it really is about who you know and keeping strong ties and being open and honest with anyone and everyone you meet about what your goals are.
Yeah, being open and honest is a big part. Networking is huge. You're going to hear that over and over again. It's going to almost sound cliche to a point. But what I would recommend the most is make friends with your classmates and make friends with your professors and make friends with basically everyone you encounter throughout your whole school. It's a really unique opportunity that you get to meet tons and tons and tons of people. You're constantly put in situations that you get to socialize and have really interesting discussions that don't have to be just topical, right? You can get really in depth into what your goals are, what your dreams are, what is moving the world, things like that. And it was through my connections with friends I made in school and then also having multiple professors that could come to bat for me because they, you know, I guess they look out for you when they see your ambition, they see you as a person, then they're willing to write those great letters of recommendations or give that phone call that will get you an interview, and then it's all up to you from there. So I highly recommend getting to know and being friendly with as many people as possible.
So my first full-time job after college was at the University of Arkansas. In the world of athletics, everyone knows everyone, even if there's D1, D2, D3, NAIA, everyone knows everyone. So the biggest thing we've taught everyone in that area is don't burn bridges, because everyone will talk, and even if you're not on the reference sheet, if we see that you were at U of L or wherever and we know someone there, we're going to reach out. That's how I got to come back too. My previous supervisor is now my current supervisor, and he knew the type of work I did and was ready to bring me home. So that was all about how you get your job. It's not always about a posting. It's who you know and the work and how you act around people. So don't burn bridges, and it's okay if you're an introvert. I'm very much an introvert. It's how you have those deep conversations when you're with people one-on-one.
So I haven't gotten like a full-time job essentially outside of college yet, but I did have a couple of offers, and so what helped me there was the career fairs that they have every semester. Go to those, talk to people, even if you don't want a job there. It's great to just like get to know what professionals and HR people are looking for and how to answer those kinds of questions and how to be prepared for an interview by like setting the scene yourself at the career fair by walking up to the person instead of going into a company and just like starting from flat or from nothing. And so I had 2 internships while I was here. Both I got through meeting the HR managers and the managers that I worked for at the career fairs, and then having interviews with them at the companies, and then getting the internships. At the one I did between my junior and senior year, they offered me a full-time position after I graduated, but I turned it down so I could live my life for the 6 months I'm here until I leave for a year. And then I interviewed at a couple more places, got offers, but just that's the route I went instead. So I'll probably join the workforce in 2018, and we'll see what goes from there.
I also started with an internship, so they had an information session here, like I said before. I went to that and I handed in my resume and I got an interview. So I interviewed with my current boss now. They liked me, so they picked me up as an intern. It wasn't guaranteed a full-time position or anything. Actually, they told me it probably wouldn't lead to a full-time position. They were pretty honest at the beginning. But I just made it my goal to make myself more than an intern, really contribute and be just as valuable as a full-time employee. And I showed my worth to them, so they ended up hiring me full-time actually like a month and a half before I graduated. So I was doing full-time school and full-time work for about a month and a half, and I'm still at that job now.
Yeah, and I was there when Alex got hired on, and I was one of those people saying, we need to hire this guy on, he's an intern, but he was crushing it, he was killing it. So it would have been stupid for us to let an asset like that walk out the door. I think it's fine if you look at job boards, but if you look at a job and you find one you like, I don't think just sending in your resume is the path that's going to get you the job. You got to find someone that works at that company, network with someone who's there, who can put in a good word for you. My 2 jobs, the one I was in college and my current one, were both, I think, from LinkedIn recruiters that reached out to me. Once someone reached out to me, I was like, yes, I'd be interested, and then I found someone that worked at those companies. Fortunately, I knew someone that worked at each one of them, and said, hey, this is a job, could you help me? Do you know if I would be a good fit? And then those people went to bat for me. So that's something that's important. One, LinkedIn was great because it kind of opened the door where someone said, hey, this might be an opportunity for you, but then knowing someone there, having that network built is what really is the game changer. And I think you guys probably have heard that and read that it's more important to network and know someone than to send out 1,000 resumes to companies that don't know you and no one that knows you.
So by a show of hands, who has a LinkedIn account? Okay.
You all were supposed to do that after talking.
Busted.
In September, they were told to create, but I don't remember, create a LinkedIn account.
Okay, so your homework, item number 1 is to make sure that you have a LinkedIn account and make sure you can put in that you're a current student. That's totally fine.
With an appropriate picture, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, make sure you have an appropriate picture. Make sure that you have an appropriate email address. An appropriate email address is not collegesurferguy1998@aol.com. It is first name, last name @gmail.com or something like that. So pay attention to what you're doing because as soon as you connect, people will see that information. Second tip on LinkedIn. For the love of all that is holy, do not put the default contact, hey, I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. No one remembers 100% of the people. So your job whenever you connect with somebody is to say, hey, it was great meeting you at this Campus 100 class at Horn Auditorium last Friday. That is totally appropriate. And hey, I was the guy that asked you X, Y, or Z question. Now, I'll go out on a limb for every single person here and say, you can connect with us, you can ask us out for coffee, you can ask us out for lunch. And odds are, hint, hint, we're alumni with money, we'll probably pay for that coffee, which means it's free for you. However, I've done, I don't know how many of these panels, and historically less than 5% of everybody that's in the class reaches out. I just did one with 30 people, 2 people reached out. No harm on us. We don't frankly care if you do that, but you're doing yourself a total disservice because we know about these jobs and these internships that are coming up. We know the professors, and we'll do some backstory on you if you apply to somebody or a job that we know. So do yourself a service. Connect with us. They'll send out our contact information later on, assuming everybody's willing.
You want me to?
Yeah, mine's out there. I'm a findable person. But for the love of all that is holy, take an opportunity to connect with each and every person. And that brings me to my second pillar, the idea of following up. You have to follow up with people. Not a year and a half later, hey, you came, but do it quickly so that we remember you. And a quick, easy, sort of cheap way to follow up with people, especially if you want to get into the C-suite door of a company that you want to work at, go and buy $5 Starbucks gift cards. Put it in an envelope with a nice handwritten letter. Hey, I saw you're the Senior Vice President for Public Relations at Humana. I'd like to learn more about how you got to that job. And you send them a $5 Starbucks gift card. Guilt is a wonderful human attribute to tie into because as soon as you give them that $5 gift card, they feel obligated to meet with you whenever you follow up in 5 days and say, hey, not sure if you got my gift card, but I'd like to set up the following coffee with you and here are 3 dates that work with my schedule. Guilt is phenomenal. Yeah, what's the company name?
I don't know since they quit company after speaking broadly.
All right, well, what was the industry you said? I'm sorry.
Well, I was interested in working in the airline industry.
Okay. I think you'd be surprised to find out how many places are hiring remotely more and more. So some of your best bets are to take some of the advice he just said and just start trying to reach out, trying to find someone you can reach out to. I think if you dig hard enough or you talk to the right professors, they might know someone. For example, if you're looking at trying to work at Boeing or something like that, I guarantee you there's professors at this school that have contacts in Seattle. And those contacts in
St. Louis.
okay. Sorry, I deal with Microsoft a lot, so I'm Seattle-centric. But I understand your concern. Direct networking might not always be an option, but if you dig hard enough, you're going to find a connection. And that's where LinkedIn is kind of funny, because LinkedIn will actually bridge that gap for you, because you'll see how many people away you are from the connection you need to get to. Oh, yeah, a little bit.
So LinkedIn, like, who do you want to work for? Delta? Sure. Okay, so what I would do is I would get on Delta, I would do an advanced, I would go to LinkedIn, do an advanced search, University of Louisville alumni that work at Delta. They're going to come up second connections. And then I'm going to reach out to Madison. Hey, do you all, through the alumni office, have a contact information for this, and can you do an email intro? Bam, connection made. Like or you find people that went to any Kentucky college or university. There's only 33 of them. You can find them. Somebody works at Delta, somebody works for United, somebody does. You just have to find them. They're out there.
And as soon as you said Boeing, my mind started, thinking, or you said it, or airlines. I started thinking of all the alumni that I know that work in airlines or are in different areas. So I think just using the resources at the university too is something to always keep in mind, because that's something I wasn't maybe so mindful of as a student, is that there are all of these opportunities available if you just ask the right place. So sending an email to the alumni office and saying, how can I get connected in Seattle? I'm interested in moving there, and I'm interested in airlines specifically. We have that information, and we can help connect you to the right people. And I think another thing that's big too is, say if you're interested in airlines, but there's not as much opportunity in the area to network or find airline internships. I think it's about finding skills that apply and doing things so when you go into the interview, you can say, yeah, I haven't worked in an airline yet, but I have all of these skills that apply. I did this internship where I was working with people all day, so it would make me a great candidate for this job, because I would be working with people. So I think it's just finding skills that are going to align and making sure all of your experiences are going to be able to be tailored to what you're applying for.
Eric, do you know who the biggest airline company in the world is? Wrong. No, wrong. UPS. Do you know where UPS's second largest operations are? 2 miles away. My God. Well, you can't get in your car and go down there because security clearances don't let you do it. But
Is that working?
It's literally right there. They employ a lot of people from U of L. So there's no excuse.
And what Madison said earlier, there's 35 alumni chapters across the United States. So right there's a tap in. But you also have your summers to think about internships in areas where you would like to work. So if there's a particular airline you want to work for, or let's say you want to go work for Pratt Whitney in Connecticut, you look to see if they have a summer internship program in those locations. So you start just inserting yourself where you want to go. So.
No one here can present this probably panel with a target company that we cannot get you in. Probably takes maybe a week, but we could get you in.
And you don't have to graduate and stay here. Like I
Go abroad.
Fayetteville,
Go.
Arkansas, which is 12 hours away from here, by the way, driving. You can happen upon jobs too. Like you may meet someone on an airplane. Like I met someone that was from Louisville when I was going back home one weekend from out there, and we had that connection with the Derby. So that was an instant connection with a hat company down here. So you just have to be mindful of who you're with. Your classmates aren't going to all be from Kentucky. Use them to your resource as well.
Real quick, who's not from Kentucky? All right. How many of you are from Illinois, the Chicago suburbs? Okay. Some of you want to go to Chicago after you graduate. There's the people you need to start talking to in your class. Right there. Perfect example. Ask to go home with them over spring break so you can do what Dr. Lucas said. So you can go have your coffee.
Or take the $5 megabus up to Chicago. It's literally $5. All right, questions, go. Except for this group.
Okay, Sarah.
Okay, so I am majoring in marketing and communications as well. And as of now, like my ideas, I want to go into sales. What kind of internships are out there for someone who want to go into sales?
I think there's definitely, I'm not as versed on those because I never took that course. I know that there are a ton out there. I was offered the Target internship, which I think touches on sales, and I know that there's a lot of other companies that offer similar things. I think it's just about searching, and that would be something that I could look through the alumni base and see what marketing majors have ended up doing sales. But I think for me, it was testing out, because marketing's pretty broad, testing out all the different areas, and that kind of helped me figure out what I did and didn't want to do. And my original thought of how I wanted to use marketing is definitely not how it ended. So I think you're on the right track as to finding those, and I think there's a ton of sales opportunities out there. Yeah.
I remember looking at, they release the companies every semester of who's at the career fairs, and oh, I didn't mention this earlier. I graduated in economics with minors in Spanish, international business, and management. And so I remember being plagued because every time I would look at these lists, I saw like, what are we offering? Sales positions. And so I was like, that's not what I want to do. But I remember like seeing these lists and just like noting that there were a lot of positions like that out there. And so you can just like, next in the spring, whenever there's a career fair, just look at that book, see who's looking for marketing majors, go talk to them, see like what they're, like maybe do a little research beforehand so you know exactly what their company is about, what kind of products they're selling, what market they're in, and which one interests you the most, and then go talk to all of them still. Like, don't just talk to the ones that you're most interested in, just go and because you might think like you'd see one that you really like, and you'd go to talk to them, but maybe their culture doesn't really fit you. And so then you go talk to the next guy, and like things click, and it just makes more sense, and you pursue that route. So.
And I know retail might not be like your ultimate end goal, but that's a great place if you're interested in sales to start. So looking at places in Louisville, I had a friend who started out working at Pandora, selling rings and other jewelry that they sell, and it kind of opened up opportunities for her because she was able to say, I have sales experience. Here's one job that I moved up through, and so I think just looking at all opportunities that you have and not crossing anything off.
Sales is a really, really competitive environment, obviously, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities. Can y'all hear me? I'm sorry.
I think they need I need it for the camera.
Oh, I'm sorry for the, okay. If you are really, really interested in doing sales, and I'm going to point you down that way, another great thing to look into is to find things that you want to sell or find products that really, really interest you. And some of the best ways to do that is to look at small businesses and local companies and things where it's not quite as a stiff corporate environment, and the quotas aren't set by some person in a suit in New York, but it's a local person you can talk to, you can see their product, and you can take your ambition and apply it to something that you really like. It may not be the most money in college, but it's going to give you that experience that you need, that you can then, and plus it's going to give you a lot of contacts locally that you can then extrapolate into much grander things later on.
There's a phenomenal resource. Everybody has free access through the library here called Business First. Have you all heard about that weekly publication? They put together a big 200-page book. It's called the Book of List, and it includes all the top performers of any major industry within the Louisville region, including the top 50 fastest growing companies in Louisville. They just announced those last week. Millions and millions of dollars. They're doing 200, 400% growth each year. If you would be beside of yourself if you went to them and said, hey, congratulations, send them the $5 gift card for Starbucks. See, there's a theme going on here.
Stock in Starbucks.
Or you can do Heine Brothers. I don't care. Just play into the guilt trip. Say congratulations on your Fast 50. Then go back, talk to the VP of sales, and say, hey, I'm a college student. I want to learn the sales process. I'm pretty cheap, but with all your all's growth, you all probably need an extra hand. I'm willing to learn. Bam, there's your job. You'll probably have 5 job offers after contacting 6 people.
He also brings up a good point about reading Louisville Business First. I can't stress enough how important it is to read. And it can be books, but when you talk about business and you look at like the really, really successful billionaires in business, the common theme amongst all of them is they read every single day, whether it be a business book, whether it be business news, whether it be multiple blogs from different point of views. But you want to stay on top of, especially whatever industry you're interested in working in. So every day, you know, whatever it's a subreddit or, you know, following who.
Do you all even know what a subreddit is?
I hope so.
I don't think they do.
No?
No.
Reddit? No? Okay. Yeah, so it can take you down some dark paths, but for the most important thing is that it's an internet aggregate site that you can find topics on anything, whether it be specialized medical fields, specialized business fields, pictures of cats eating or licking things. I mean, it's just weird. So,
being afraid of cucumbers.
Yeah,
like
exactly. But it's a great resource for finding news in any particular field that you like. So there's a Louisville subreddit. There's subreddits for different communities.
There's almost 1 million. We counted them up last night. Yeah, there's almost 1 million. So, including, so if you're like looking for someone in the aerospace engineer, literally go to Reddit, reddit.com. They have a search field, search for aerospace engineer, and there are people on there that self-proclaim, hey, I'm an engineer at Boeing. Hey, I'm an engineer with Airbus or whatever, and you send them a message, and you're like, hey, I'm this poor college student in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm really interested in getting involved in what you're doing. You sound cool. Can we jump on a Skype call? You know what they're going to say? Yes. Or they're going to give you a time to connect. Do it. Like, I found, like, I've got a startup I'm helping that's a very, very, very narrow industry. There's like 5 experts, and I found 2 of them on Reddit. So.
I have something too. Just if there's a field that you're interested in and you don't feel comfortable with Reddit or you don't want to get into the dark areas of it, most professional areas are going to have professional organizations, and they usually do daily digests. So I'm part of 2, and I get all the top athletic stories from the day, and I'm not talking about actual sports scores. I'm talking about like issues in our industry and how different schools are facing them. So that way I'm educating myself and reading every day to make myself better as a professional, but also knowing what's coming down the pipeline in other areas.
You talked about like meeting people, going out and talking stuff and following up. After that, how often should you like stay in contact with that person or meet up with them?
Anytime something comes across your network that reminds you of that person. So I've got one person that hired me in one job. Every time there's a bourbon event, I send him the email. He's based in Atlanta, but he travels up to Louisville. Every time that event comes up, I send it to him. I'm like, are you ready to go to this one? And he goes to like 1/3 of them. And so we meet up, we catch up. But I know as soon as if I want another job or I have somebody like you all to introduce to him, because he hires a whole bunch of CIS grads, like I can make that connection and we reconnect. So I follow up with people. It's short and sweet emails. Hey, came across my network, thought of you, bam, send it, and you're done. It doesn't have to be like, who cares about your life story? Not a lot of people. Just, hey, reminded me of you, go forward.
You'd be surprised how good of a starting conversation bourbon is, by the way. I know probably most of you are maybe not 21 yet, but one of the most popular things anyone wants to talk about Louisville and Kentucky is bourbon. So, and yeah, so just pay attention to our local businesses for things like that.
So one fun fact is that we have a position in our office that deals mostly with student and young alumni, and there is a networking event coming up that teaches you how to network and kind of goes over the how-tos. So that'd be something that I would strongly suggest all of you guys to look into. There's going to be people from all over Louisville that are there helping with it. So it's kind of a networking 101 type of thing. And if that's something you're interested in, I can leave my information and you can send me an email or give me a phone call and let me know you're interested in it. But I think it's just, you know, introducing yourself, telling them that you're interested, and telling them something that's going to make you memorable.
You guys have a resource downstairs that's really helpful, the Omar Career Center. Use that to your advantage. They have job postings, which I do recruit from there just because it's an easy way to connect with students when I'm off campus. But they will go through coaching and stuff as well. Practice with your friends. They're going to be honest and tell you if you're really awkward. So be with them and you kind of have like an elevator speech, especially if you're nervous or you're more of an introvert and that's not something that you like to do and go up to people randomly.
Who doesn't know what an elevator speech is?
Well, that's
Okay, elevator speech, real quick. 30 seconds, you get stuck in an elevator, and if you realize you're in the elevator with like
And don't be afraid to like add personality, because I got 2 job offers from making dumb jokes at the end of my elevator speech. Like, so, yeah. It's what makes you different. It's like what you are interested in, and if you have like weird hobbies or fun hobbies or things that make you happy that may not be traditional, like just throw that in there, and it'll either help you click with the culture of the company and the people that you'll be working with, or it'll show that like that's probably not where you want to be working.
I think one of the top things in the business world is, I mean, it's important to be smart, have great grades, so don't take this message as not to do well in school. But the number one skill that you want to have is be able to effectively communicate, because as I've been in jobs, there's people who are extremely smart and intelligent that can solve anything or have the answer, but if they have no communication skills and have the inability to work with others, then they're not going to go anywhere, because no one wants to work with that individual, and it's very difficult. So to your point, what would you say for a conversation? I don't think it really matters what you say, as long as you go in confident and start talking to someone. People appreciate and are attracted to confidence. I think anyone can agree with that. If someone's confident, you want to talk to that person, you want to learn more. So that's the biggest skill set I think you can work on as you go through the business school, is those soft skills that you don't learn here, those soft skills to learn how to talk with people, how to work with others, how to be a good team player, how to interact with other people, how to be confident, how to have tough discussions with someone, but still come away good friends with that person. So those are the things I would focus on, because if you can communicate and interact with other people, then you can be successful. And surprisingly, there's a lot of people who have difficulty doing that.
And as someone who hires and has about a staff of 100, giving something that's memorable is going to help me remember you, because it's hard to remember that many faces when you're interviewing and just meeting people real quick. So something memorable or quirky is going to help me remember you when you follow up. I know you had something.
And remember that when you remember, for each one job available, there's 125 to 150 applications on average. So what they're saying, tie that to the career finding piece of, you really are competing for positions now. So they're telling you right now how to get the upper hand on things.
And I'll just reiterate this, I think I've mentioned it a little bit before, but whenever you go to the career fair, just talk to everybody and start with your least likely, like that you actually want to work for first, to give yourself a warm up. And just like, it doesn't matter, you don't want the job anyway, you can botch it completely and it doesn't matter. So you just get that one out of the way, that's the hardest one, is the first one, and then you kind of know what you do want to say, or when you want to say it, or when you want to put something else on the table. And then you go to the next person, and the next, until you get to the top 5 that you actually want the positions for, and talk to them last when you're warmed up. You're ready, you feel like you can take on anything, you know, what kinds of questions to expect and stuff like that.
One quick thing before, I know most of you are, I'm assuming like freshman, sophomore, kind of in the younger stages, right? So if you are, before you look for that full-time job and you might be looking for an internship, you're not going to have a lot of work experience. You're not going to have a lot of skills like that are exactly set for that job. So like Brock mentioned and everybody's mentioned earlier, the most important thing is that you show that you can fit in with them and that you show that you have the right personality. I'll be honest, they told me that I only got the internship based that they thought I'd fit in. They said I didn't have the best GPA, I probably wasn't the smartest, didn't have the most skills, but they thought I would be the best fit. And it's definitely true, but it worked out for me, and I've been a great fit, and I've been in charge of hiring like the last 2 rounds of interns that took my position. And you look at the resumes, and there's nothing really that special. So it's mostly about when they come up and talk to me at a session, or they talk to me in the interview, it's who do I think is going to get along best with me, who's going to try their hardest, do I say, that kind of stuff is really definitely most important. Yeah.
So Alex made a good point. I only got my graduate assistantship in athletics because I had my business school knowledge. They told me straight up I only got it because I had business knowledge, that they usually don't hire non-former student athletes. So I used that as my motivation to get to an assistant director position before the age of 30. Like for me, that was huge, and I used it and ran with it to do a really good job.
Just real quick to piggyback on what Alex said, hold on. So when I was in graduate school, I had a professor who said he doesn't hire 4.0s because they're boring. They've done nothing. All they've done is study. He goes, they aren't human enough for me. He goes, I don't hire 4.0s. So I look at your transcript and see a 4.0, I throw you away. Now, I'm not saying that's 100% because you're going to want to, no, I'm not saying to get a C either, because if you get lower than 2.8, you're kicked out of business school. So you've got to live in that tension. But what I'm saying is you need to be involved, and you need to be active, and you need saying, I've got the best grades, that will make me the most competitive candidate, you're going to be fooling yourself in a couple of years. And that's the point I'm making, not just don't worry about it. Because then you'll be out of business school, and this will all be a moot point anyway.
So the best thing you can do if you want to go to a networking event, one, go to a networking event where you are the odd person out. So if you are Caucasian, go to an Urban League networking event. People are going to talk to you. If you are, there's a network of entrepreneurial women. If you are male, go to that event. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to be awkward at one point or another. Just be awkward and own it. And then imagine that follow-up. Hey, I was the only guy at the Network for Entrepreneur. Yes, they're going to remember you. The other guy that always attends, his name is Cliff, but he's one of the founders of it, which that's a different story all the way together. But your opening line should be, hey, my name's Erica, or whatever your name is. What brings you out today? You know who people love to talk about the most? Themselves. Give them that opportunity, and then they'll flip it, and you all, each one of you all have this beautiful card in your back pocket. And it's your student ID. That student ID will get you into nearly any office and out of nearly any situation. Just by saying, I'm a junior, I'm a sophomore at the College of Business at U of L, you immediately disarm the person. You're not gunning for their job. They were probably in your shoes 10, 15 years ago, and guess what? They want to help you. So tell them you're a student, own that, and just abuse it. I got into the C-suite of Brown-Forman. They treated me to lunch because I did that. Hey, I'm a student. I emailed the chief information officer. Hey, interested in how you got in that role. They invited me to the campus, like they were serving alcohol during lunch at this catered event, or they have a restaurant inside of their facility. Own it. Just take the student ID card out. I'm a student, want to learn more. You should be able to pack your schedule full of lunches and coffee every single day if you want to. But odds are none of you all want to.
For the record, this is not the first time you're hearing that either.
All right, is there anybody else? Because you all have a lot of questions. Can they be rapid questions, rapid fire? Can we agree to that? Go, rapid fire, go.
The CIS major, did you start interning like the end of your freshman year to like summer of your freshman year? And do you think I have the potential to? I'm taking, in my freshman year, I'm taking one CIS 150 and 199.
You think you can take 150 and 199 at the same time?
Take 300 before you can
Start 199, yeah.
No, that's an official university-sponsored internship. During the summer, there's nothing stopping you from going and working a summer job for 12 weeks, doing networking or desktop support or shadowing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's still, was it 6 required credit hours to graduate? Yeah, so, I mean, you can start as early as you can. I did all 6 credits at the same place, and I started at the beginning of my senior year. That was the first internship I did, but it worked out for me. But do as many as you can, honestly. Even if they're not necessary, keep doing it. Great work experience. You're just going to learn a lot and make those connections that we've been talking about the whole time.
My question is for the former SOS, because hopefully I can be an SOS. And I'm trying to get involved on campus. Like next year, like next semester, next year, I plan on being like heavily involved in a bunch of different RSOs, like organizations on campus. So I was wondering, would that affect, like, when you were involved in SOS and things like that, did that affect your internship outlook? Like, were you available to do internships and things like that?
So I actually only did SOS 1 year. Most do it 2 years, and the reason I only did it 1 is because I decided to take a summer internship that second term instead of doing orientation staff. And I think it just depends on you and what you can fit in and when. For me, it really didn't affect anything other than providing me with a great network of connections and people that I can reach out to that, you know, are pretty strong leaders no matter what field they're going to work in. So I think if that's something you're interested in, definitely go for it. Just be confident, reach out to people, kind of the same application for job searching. Reach out to people you know that are doing it now. And as far as RSOs, I know when I was a freshman, I kind of wanted to jump in and do everything and anything. Try not to overload your plate. That way you can give, you know, 100% to each thing you're involved in, because if you can say, I held a leadership position in 3 organizations, instead of saying I was involved in 15 RSOs, people are going to value the first one a lot more.
My second question is because, okay, yeah, my second question is, because I'm interested in finance, but I also want to work in the field of athletics. Like specifically what I want to do is I want to work with athletes and be a financial advisor for athletes and things like that, because the majority of them go bankrupt after 5 years of retirement. So I want to be able to help those people manage their money, and like I want to be a finance major with focus in sports and SPAD, because it's like I want to be able to negotiate the contract, and more importantly, what do you want to do with it? So I just wanted to know how I get involved in that and what step I should take.
You should do an internship with Northwestern Mutual. They're pretty much they hire a lot of former student athletes, but they also work with a lot of former student athletes in athletic departments. My financial advisor is with Northwest Mutual, and he was a basketball player at another school. Doing a finance major and then a SPAD minor is awesome, but you're just going to have to go to grad school as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually in the same boat as you. I did the sports administration program when I started here, and then I realized being a YMCA director, I really didn't want to do that because it wasn't going to pay me as much. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go into finance. Business sounds good. So I went to finance because that was kind of what I wanted to do. Because you've probably watched that 30 for 30 about the athletes who lose all their money, and I was like, you know what, I want to do that, work with athletes and make sure they actually save the money they make because they all go bankrupt. So my advice would be just to focus on the finance, and then eventually you're going to do stuff like the CFA or something else if you want to be like a chartered financial analyst or financial planner or something, get involved with that, which is additional classes and tests that you'd have to take. But that would get you in the right path. And like she said, go somewhere like Northwestern Mutual where they have contacts, or get with a financial advising company that can do that. And then once you get in there, you can get in the door. But to that point, I would get in with the athletic program here because there's a lot of athletes that eventually get to those kind of situations, and hopefully you can get in the door and get to know someone, get to know the right people to do that, because that was always like my dream job. So I probably gave up on my dream, so you should keep going for that dream.
Do you know who Luke Hancock is?
Yeah, he does that.
Do you know what he's doing right now? He's a financial advisor with Lampkin Wealth Management. You know what you can do to him? Ask him out for lunch or coffee, and there's your intro. There's also the #1 guy that does that works with the Exact Target Professional Sports. He's their what's the term whenever they represent them? He's the agent. You know where he's based? Louisville, Kentucky. I forget his name, but he's a.
There's plenty of agents here in Louisville, and another way that you can get involved, we do a lot of different workshops for undergraduate student athletes with trying to teach them good money management. We have a career center in our area. Melissa Murphy, she's in charge of it, so she's always looking for free help too. We always take internships, we always take that extra help. I'm always hiring business kids, so that's another way that you can get your into that door of athletics.
How do I know when those financial, like for the athletes, how do I know when those financial, like?
You gotta reach out.
$5 gift card to Alyssa Murphy with a note saying, I'm a finance major, love to be, I could be assistant for your events. I mean, go put out the name cards. I can be an extra set of hands if you can let me know when the schedule is, then you get to just sit and listen. And eventually you might get the help with them.
Rapid fire besides these guys. Come on. Questions. Ask the hard ones. Go. Emily. Oh, sorry. Go. Blue.
Oh, okay. So, have you guys ever, did being involved in, Greek life or an RSO on campus, did that ever help you get, a connection or, a job offer, directly through that? Some people go on, go to the job and, hey, you should.
It helped me hire a couple of people because I knew what their standards were. I'm the only Greek person in my office that's not in PhD, so it's a little bit different, so I have that little bit of different niche. So that gives me that little level up, but also when I'm hiring, I know what kind of standards, grade wise, that you guys are required to have. And that was also
I was part of the Economics Book Club that's here, and they take any majors really, just not just econ, so you should look into that. But I think that what made me stand out on my job applications was study abroad, which is a great segue into that, because study abroad is so important. And I did 1 month in Panama in the summer and 1 whole semester in Spain in the spring of 2015. And so whenever I would go in to talk to people, I would just pull that card out and be like, hey, I did this. I'm one of, like, I think 3%. Elizabeth just said 3 or 4% of students that study abroad. And it shows that you're willing to step out of your comfort zone, you're adaptive, like, immediately, and you can share stories of, like, specifically, like, this is how I encountered a problem while I was abroad, and this is how I adapted to it. And so you can pull that into interviews really easily, even if you don't have work experience.
Yeah, one thing is definitely you can relate it to other things. Like in an interview, if your employer or future employer is asking you a question, you can say, well, I actually remember this one time, and my fraternity, when I had to handle a similar situation, this is how I did it at XYZ, and when you can relate that, it really shows that you have experience and you know how to handle situations, even if it's not related to necessarily business.
Another plug for that study abroad, I actually didn't get to do study abroad because when I was 21, I was married and then had a kid, so it would have been a little difficult to do a study abroad. I don't think my wife would have been happy. But I was a Mormon missionary, so if anyone's ever seen a Mormon missionary in the white shirt and ties, I did that in Argentina for 2 years. And that experience, learning Spanish, interacting with others, even though it was not like an formal educational academic setting, that one thing has been the greatest conversational starter, the greatest thing that's developed tools to go talk to people, to know a language. The people have interest or have questions about that, and even though it's nothing religious, it always opens the door to questions and conversations that have helped me in my business life. So going and doing a study abroad would give you that opportunity as well, because you get out of your comfort zone, you get to have the experience to be within different cultures. And for Yum, I mean, that's one thing Yum's all about. With Yum, I've had the opportunity to travel internationally and having that experience, knowing how to work with people globally. Every day, Alex and I are communicating with people from Russia, China, Singapore, everywhere, because we have KFCs and Pizza Huts and a few Taco Bells throughout the world, and it's key to have that ability to communicate and understand a culture and develop that skill set, especially in today's global economy.
So by a show of hands, who's halfway slightly interested in going abroad? Raise your hands. All right, that's great, that's great. Now keep your hands up if you have a passport. Oh, wow, that's amazing. So I just got that's amazing. My biggest well, I have 3 big regrets for college. One of them is that I did not go abroad. And I'm 34, I just turned 34, and I started going abroad in February. So far, I've been to 6 countries, which has been an absolute blast. But then it makes me think, to be in your all standpoint, that you have this opportunity that you can live cheaply, like on $200 a week in a foreign country, because you don't care where you sleep, and you don't have to be in a Hilton or a Westin or anything like that. You can do a hostel and have a blast. So I'm happy that you all have passports. If you don't have a passport, Christmas is coming up. Ask for the $100 application fee as one of your Christmas presents. And then what you need to do, most colleges and universities, including the College of Business, have multiple programs to either decrease, cut in half, or fully pay for your internship or study abroad experience. So, on average, the College of Business gives away how much money each year?
I would say the average range is between $2,700 and $3,300.
So that's average per student, which is more than enough money to fly you to any country in the world with enough notice. And how many students take advantage of these scholarships?
I would say it ranges between probably 40 and 60 a year.
40 students. There is free money.
There are 1,500 undergraduates. This money is only for undergraduates. MBAs can't use it. There are 1,500 graduates. There's 1,500 undergraduates in the college.
Take the money. Take it. Run with it. Use it.
Go abroad.
So, I'm a Chinese minor, and I was wondering what... Sorry, go ahead. Finance and political science. I'm wondering, like, maybe perhaps because of Yum's experience abroad, and operations abroad, what kind of, like, undergraduate internships are available, like, relating directly to using Chinese?
Like at Yum specifically, or just in general?
Yeah, just in general, or Yum.
Well, I mean, at Yum, we work with China, so you could do an internship here and work with them. I don't think there's anything specifically like sending interns to China or anything like that. There might be that I don't know about. I don't know, Brock, you know that?
Yeah, our current business, we just sold off our China business or made it our largest franchisee who's not paying to us, so they're kind of separate operations. But we have someone that used to work here in our internal audit team who actually, I don't know where he's from, but he speaks Mandarin or Chinese, and he's now going over to Singapore to head up kind of our accounting team over there in that office. So, I mean, you could have that skill set here would be beneficial. If we had someone that could speak Chinese, that would be extremely beneficial, because there are conversations we have where it's very difficult to, things get lost in translation. So if you were able to speak that, that'd be a huge asset. Like I said, with speaking Spanish, working with Yum here in Louisville, I've had the opportunity to go and translate. I've helped translate like the instructions for how to bread chicken in a KFC store because they needed help. So someone found me and they're like, hey, Brock, can you help? So having that foreign language, there's definitely an opportunity, especially with China, because that's a huge part of our business.
So when I was a student here, I was one of the first students to take advantage of one of the programs out of the business school, but I took 3 scholarships and studied abroad in Panama, France, and Spain. Then I followed that up with a year in Spain to teach. In the past 18 months, I've gotten to travel to Malaysia, Poland, and Mexico, all through work. I can't stress how important being comfortable with travel advances you in life. They've already mentioned how awesome of an experience it can be to learn a culture and meet people from a completely different society and gain a whole new perspective on life. But the one thing I will stress is, you mentioned you're a Chinese minor. There's probably a lot of you that will pick up languages as minors. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but in the US, we're not the greatest at learning languages. If you really, really, really want to make an impact, put a bunch of effort into it. It's great to have a minor. If you can make it a major, even better. But even outside of that, like, just utilize all the tools you can. There's plenty of online resources that you can do, like 30-minute chats a week with someone trying to learn English. So you just trade your English skills for their whatever language you're trying to learn skills. But invest all you can to learn that language. So I have a couple people that work for me now. They're in Mexico, and I use my Spanish every single day with them. And being an American and being able to truly speak a foreign language really sets you on a different level when it comes to working in international business, because there's just not that many of us. You'll find a lot of foreign workers that speak English really, really well, but you don't pick up on a lot of Americans that have learned a second language on their own. So I cannot stress the importance that's had in my life, not only professionally, but also personally. I have friends all over the world now that I've met through my study abroad experiences. I have contacts in France, Spain, Germany, China, Japan, Australia. Obviously that's English, but still you meet these people as you're going around. And when you do it when you're 20, 21 years old, you know, it's easy for you to sleep on a couch. It's easy for you to sleep in a bunk bed or a room full of 30 other people. It's not a big deal. It's a lot harder when you're 31, I promise you, to handle that tight of a travel schedule. So take every opportunity you can to have those experiences.
If you wanted to really get a job, the U.S. Embassy in each country has people set up that all they do is help American companies do business in that host country. I met up with somebody in Australia, in Sydney, U.S. consulate, and we're putting together a package to use the U.S. ambassador's house as an event to generate business for a company here in Louisville. All you have to do, and they had an intern. I met with the intern and his boss, and they brought him along because I was American and we connected. So there's not a lack of options. You just have to stand up for yourself, go for it, and just focus in on it until you get it done.
And if you're willing to travel like international and you have that skill set, I know at Yum specifically, in like year-end reviews and stuff, they ask you if you're willing to move international for another job or if you're willing to move. And if you say yes, your opportunities just grow immensely because in most of the time, like I know a lot of people in the company, it's not like a permanent move. Like they'll go out and they'll become like, I don't know, maybe the CFO of a certain market, like financial, and they'll stay there, and then they'll get moved back, and they'll get a better role, more pay back in the U.S. just because they were willing, and they went international and helped out when it was needed for that 2-3 year span. So like, your career path can grow so much if you're just willing to take those steps and like work international.
My foreign language is sign language. That does count as one, by the way. And I'm giving a 3-day presentation this time next week in Washington, D.C. to a room that's half full of deaf people, but they chose me to give this global presentation because I randomly have this as a skill set.
When you meet a CEO or CFO and you can share a international travel experience, like if they mention that they really enjoy Guatemala and you've happened to have been there, and your 30-second speech, you'll be surprised how they treat you from that point forward.
Emma's had her hand up a little bit.
Okay, to kind of piggyback off the internship. My end goal is to work in corporate advertising, and I'm a marketing major. I was wondering if any of you all have a background in advertising or what type of internship opportunities there would be for advertising in Louisville.
A lot.
Like I know like KFC has a marketing department here, so they might have opportunities available, none that I'm not aware of at the moment, but I'm sure they do.
There's a ton of advertising agencies within Louisville that hire interns. Some will only hire interns for no pay, just volunteer, but some are paid. So I think just looking into those and reaching out to those people like we've been saying the entire time and seeing if you can come in and even just shadow. I know we have a business school grad who's now the director of marketing at one of the big advertising agencies. So if that's something you're interested in, reach out to me and I'll connect you to her. And then from there you kind of find a mentor and the opportunities grow. But there's definitely not a lack of advertising opportunities.
So there's a company in town I would encourage you to look at. It's called El Toro. They are focusing in on a really interesting technology, and it's patented and all this other stuff. They're going to double their staff, and they want people that get advertising and taking a new stance. Right now, 99% of all advertising that we all see is still traditional. It's print, it's TV, it's radio. 1% is done on mobile phones. Think about how much you spend your time on your mobile phone and no one is attacking that. Become an expert in mobile advertisement and conversions and you won't look for a job. People will be knocking down your door to get it.
Andre had his hand up over here.
I was curious as to how you learned over, I guess, your life, maybe through experience or anything like that. How did you learn how to finesse conversation and just,
I screwed up a lot, and I've made a lot of mistakes. I haven't burnt bridges, to her point. But so I've got a big mentality or a big mantra that the worst thing somebody can ever tell you is no, which is the same exact standpoint that you have right now. You don't reach out, the default answer is no. You don't want to reach out to the CIO of Humana? Okay, your answer is no, he's not going to have lunch with you or coffee with you. You reach out and he says, how does next week sound? You just went from a no to whatever else. Odds of you getting a no are so small, don't even worry about it. You just got to go for it. So don't be afraid of no, it's a numbers game. Just got to go for it. And that person tells you no, well, you go on to the next. I mean, think about your significant other if you date around. You got to a lot of no's before you got to that yes, and it's a numbers game. It's business. So don't be afraid of no, and you've always got to keep in mind, what does the other person want out of this conversation? Be interested in that person, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, he has so many great questions. Well, yeah, you just kept the conversation going. And ask open-ended ones. Like, what brought you here is what she should ask whenever she goes to a networking event. And she should reach out to one of us and say, hey, I'm afraid. I don't want to go to this thing alone. And I'll be like, yep, my schedule's free next Thursday. I'm going to wear a black V-neck shirt and jeans and sandals. You'll find me. And I will meet you there. So don't be afraid. Ask one of us. Ask somebody else to go. We'll go.
Yeah, and to his point, don't be afraid to fail. I mean, there's so many conversations I've had where you walk away and you're like, dang it, I look like an idiot. Why the crap did I say that? It makes no sense. That guy probably thinks I'm a fool. And that's fine. You learn from it and you move on. I think the key thing is to be yourself, and don't be afraid to be yourself. And like I said earlier, be confident. I mean, if anyone's confident and you're yourself, people are going to recognize that. There's going to be someone who might not appreciate that, and if that's the case, then you probably don't want to be in a situation where that person doesn't appreciate that. So be yourself, be confident, and go in there, and you'll nail it every time.
I'm sorry.
Girl in the tan has had her hand up for a while.
Yeah, last question.
Okay, you all have thought about international business and internship for accounting majors, which is better?
All of it?
Yeah. Just do
I mean,
something.
you can do an international
Meet with
business.
me and I will do this
Yeah.
with you. I will show you how to accomplish everything in 4 years, I promise.
My best friend did an international business minor, majored in accounting, I think studied abroad with you, so that's probably why we don't know each other. In France, she speaks French, and now she works for a big 4 firm in St. Louis. Like, she's been moving up because she's willing to have those skill sets.
You have 4 years. Do everything that you can. Like, you don't have to do one internship, one study abroad. Like,
Yeah.
And if you learn a language too, mine was 2 years, but when I came back, I spoke fluently, so I took a test and got 16 credits of A's, which drastically helped my GPA from my earlier years of college. But then that 16 credits, that goes to the international business minor. I already had international finance. I had to take international marketing, I think like one other course. So it was easy to get that minor because I was able to test out. So if you can study abroad, pick up a language, you might have the potential to even test out, which is what I did, which saved me a ton of time.
It's a CLEP test, and it's like $80, so it's way cheaper than taking 12 hours. Yep.
Took me 30 minutes to take the test, get 16 credits. That's a semester in 30 minutes.
Did the same thing with sign language, paid $50, got 21 credit hours.
I did the same thing.
Of course, it was a 2-year sacrifice, but besides that.
So what's your all's homework? What do you all want to get done by?
Students do it with Rosetta Stone too. Which is cheaper than it costs. Okay.
So can we assign them homework?
Yes.
All right. So we all have jobs. We all do stuff. We gave up of our time to come and visit you all. We need something from you. We need you all to write down, agree with yourself on some next step that you're going to do.
So that's your, don't leave because I'm not finished with you, but you can just go ahead and put that as your answer on your card.
And I will make a bet with you that whenever we give our contact information out and it goes on Blackboard tomorrow or next week, less than 10 of you all will ever follow up with us. I'm okay with that because that clears up my schedule and I don't have to do anything. But the only thing is it's a disservice to you. So like the gentleman that wanted to go abroad and work in finance or whatever, we can help make those connections, but we can't help make them if you never work out or if you never reach out. So follow up, be courteous, connect with people, and go out there, take over the world because that's what we can do.
I'm going to turn on the projector and I don't want to blind you all, so if you guys can. Okay. Okay, real quick, pull out your cell phone. You actually get to your cell phone for 2 seconds in this class. Let's see, why is this not coming up? There we go. Why is this not working? Okay, so I want to know which class is your favorite. So you can go to, you need to text this to this number and then A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It won't take everybody's. I'm going to ask you this again. I'm going to put it up on Blackboard, but I want to get a quick sense real quick. Folks, I used this information last year. This whole pick your own schedule for classes this semester was something I took based on feedback I got from last year's class. So I try to abridge the class and make changes based on the feedback I get from my current classes.
Can we vote for ourselves?
No. Nat Irvin. Do you know who Nat Irvin is? He's in the MBA program, and he talks about the future in business. He does Idea Fest and Fivals. Oh my God, he's mind-blowing. He's so interesting. Oh, darn it. Okay, hold on.
So a guy I saw on Tuesday did a call for
Some about the CIS 300 and 150, something like that.
You have to take 199 and 300 before you're eligible to do any internships.
Oh, okay. That's what you're
Yeah.
saying. Okay. But I'm saying like for that for just like specifically for the class or just in general?
To do an internship. Folks, class isn't finished. Sit down, please. I haven't dismissed you. Yes.
So.
Hold on. I'm still doing class, so give me a second.
Just because you won't be able to read my hand. Oh, it's easy. I have very It's a byproduct of growing up with consumer. Keep asking questions.
I was really interested.
All right. I'm going to post the polls online because I'm not getting into it right now. So make sure you leave your cards on either side, please.
I think, did other people give you their cards?